And we have to tell the news. In the first story, the senior police officer arrested in connection with a coup plot last year has finally been granted bail after more than 2 months in detention. The Criminal Division of the Accra High Court granted ACP Dr. Benjamin Ago Joe self-recognizance bail in the sum of some 500,000 Ghana cedis with 8 sureties. Is, however, to report regularly to the Inspector General of Police and the Bureau of National Investigations. Henry Kwesi Bedu sat through Tuesday's proceedings and has more in the following report.
The senior police officer has been in police custody since November 2019, accused of involvement in an alleged plan to topple the government. He has since then been denied 2 bail applications. But today, the court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Eko Baden, held that state prosecutors' allegation that ACP Ago Joe will interfere with investigations and witnesses if granted bail was vague and not backed by evidence. He was granted bail in the sum of 500,000 Ghana cedis with 8 sureties. The court ruled that ACP Ago Joe shall report twice in a week to the IGP for 3 months, and then after that, once in a week for another 3 months. ACP Ago Joe is also to report once in a week for the next 3 months to the Director of BNI, and then once a fortnight. The passport of the officer is to be handed over to the Registrar of the High Court. ACP Ago Joe, who is facing a treason charge, is alleged to have assisted the leader of alleged coup plotters, Dr. Frederick Yao McPalm, and some 8 others, including some military officers, in a plot to overthrow the Akufo-Addo administration.
Right, let's stay with the judiciary, and the Supreme Court has given the multimedia group the all-clear to air Missing Kilos. It's a documentary detailing pervasive theft of cocoa beans by cocoa clerks. The court on Tuesday dismissed a certiorari application filed by the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana some 2 years ago. Henry Kwesi Bedu has this report as well.
The Supreme Court dismissed a certiorari application by the Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana to quash a ruling against them by an Accra High Court. The application was filed in 2018, seeking to overturn a High Court decision that dismissed an earlier application for an injunction on the airing of the Missing Kilos Hotline documentary by JoyNews. The documentary shows instances of fraudulent adjustment of scales in an investigative piece by JoyNews' undercover reporter, Kwete Nate. The piece was due for broadcast in February 2018, but the LBCs filed a suit together with an application for an injunction on the premiering of the documentary. They claimed that the story contained unfair and unverified allegations of crime made against the companies. Speaking to JoyNews, counsel for the multimedia group, Evelyn Ayenide, said although there is a pending appeal, the documentary can be aired.
There's a case at the High Court, and then the plaintiffs had filed an application for injunction against the multimedia and the other parties. Now, after the court gave its ruling on that injunction, they were not satisfied, so they followed up with an appeal to the Court of Appeal. And then on top of that, they filed an application before the Supreme Court to quash the ruling of the court below, that is the High Court. Now, today was the determination of that application before the Supreme Court. And according to the Supreme Court, the application has no merit, and so they have dismissed the application before it. Yes.
What does this mean to, the case moving forward?
Well, it simply means that, 1, it has been dismissed. 2, we'll go back to the Court of Appeal because the appeal is still pending, and we'll have to go back and then determine that. Then after that, the main case is also pending at the High Court. So we'll have to go back to the court below too. Yes.
Does that mean that JoyNews can show the documentary?
Of course, as it is now, JoyNews can, because the application has been dismissed.
The 5-member panel that threw out the case was headed by the Chief Justice, Justice Kwesi Anini-Yeboah. Henry Kwesi Bedu's report for JoyNews.
Now let's take you to the Bono region, where the Techiman Circuit Court has sentenced a 25-year-old man to 10 years in prison with hard labor for kidnapping a 10-year-old son of his former employer. Bono Regional Police Commander DCOP Kwejo Janchre disclosed to JoyNews that the kidnapper, who took hostage of the boy from Kintampo demanded for an amount of some 20,000 Ghana cedis as ransom before his release. Correspondent Anna Sabit now reports.
The Techiman Circuit Court, presided over by His Lordship Justice Alexander Graham, has sentenced a 25-year-old Fulani herdsman to 10 years in prison with hard labor for kidnapping a 10-year-old boy at Kintampo in the Bono East region. In an exclusive interview with JoyNews, Bono East Regional Commander DCOP JoyNews explained how the kidnapper, together with his accomplice, masterminded the kidnapping of the 10-year-old boy.
Her son, Adams, who happened to be a headman employee of the victim's father at Kintampo. According to the source, the victim's father, who is a complainant in this case, met him barely 3 months ago at Bupe cattle market, who was looking for employment. So the man engaged his services there and brought him to Kintampo. So he was there and he used to go to the field to graze. So one day, when we took the boy together with the cattle and went out, he didn't come back. So not knowing, he has taken the young boy to Yindi. And once he was there, he called the small boy, the victim's father, that he has kidnapped his son, so he should pay an amount of 20,000 before he could release him. So this man became very surprised. This boy I engaged just about 3 months ago who looked innocent. How could he have done this? So through that, he didn't have money. So he gave him a number. I should put the ransom, that is 20,000 on it. And that was the MTN number that belongs to the remand prisoner. That is Toyibu Abdul Latif.
DCOP Jantre explained to JoyNews how the two were arrested by the police through intelligence.
The man transferred 10,000 out of the 20,000 that he was demanding. But security operatives were also on them. They were in league with the MTN and then their communication were channeled through them. So they put the money there and he made an attempt to withdraw the money. The security operatives, they were there. That is the investigators, police investigators at Hindi. So upon that, he was arrested and brought to Kintampo, where the offense or the crime took place.
To the Ashanti region next, where opposition political parties have suspended a series of demonstrations and issued a 1-week ultimatum to Eminent Advisory Committee to get the Electoral Commission to back down on its decision to compile a new voters register. That's the big announcement from the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Samuel Ufusu Ampofo, on behalf of the inter-party resistance against a new voters register at the end of Tuesday's demonstration in Kumasi, which was dubbed Yempini. Hundreds of protesters joined the inter-party resistance against a new voters register to hit the streets of Kumasi in protest. Love FM's Erastus Asaredonko was there. He followed the demonstrators. Here's the report he filed.
The demonstrators started trickling in at dawn at the Abuabo School Park. By 8 a.m., the park was filled with a sizable number of people. Then the placards arrived with messages that summed up the objectives of the protest. They want the Electoral Commission to back down on its decision to create a new voters register and use the budgeted funds to ease the lives of Ghanaians. A number of personalities joined hands. They included some members of parliament, leaders of political groupings and parties, and leadership of the National Democratic Congress.
They passed through principal streets of Kumasi, Alaba, Ashtown, Imbrom, Kejitia, Pampaso, Edum, and Asafo-Leba. The protest was full of drama. Occasional stops which saw leaders sitting on the ground and wailing. Finally, they converged at the Jubilee Park, where speakers Asiedun Kitia, NDC chairman Ofusu Ampofo, and Bernard Mona of the PNC, among others, addressed the crowd.
The NDC together with the other parties now, you form coalition, and the civil society for no. We will suspend our demonstration and wait on the eminent personalities, traditional authorities.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
Of course, this will be one of the main topical issues as we have some discussions, and we're going to have the Member of Parliament for Nsawama Drojiri, Frank Anodompre, in the studio, and then also for Busa South, we're going to have Dr. Clement Apak. Make sure you join us for that interaction, but also do join us as we undertake a news review next.